Hello everyone. With this exercise, I'm going to demonstrate how to use PowerPoint for what's called performance support. Many times we have documents or explanations that we need to have printed information on the slide without using voice narration. So let's look at a for instance here. I'm going to go to a Word document that I have pulled up. And this is what we're going to demonstrate with some text boxes. So as you'll see, this is the practicum fieldwork application, and this is actually a document that will be due in the semester prior to you taking 540. Many of you, that's going to be next semester. So what I've done is simply did a screen capture of just the top of this form. A lot of ways to do that. If you remember the document that we looked at the beginning of the semester on printing your screen, either from the Mac platform or the Windows platform, you can take a look at that. But if you're familiar with capturing a portion of a screen, you would need to have that skill, because if I go back to the document, I only want the top portion in this case. So going back to the slideshow, this is actually the completed PowerPoint for this performance support. When you actually run the slideshow, there is no voice narration. Therefore, thinking of the contiguity principle, we need to have on-screen text to help with the instruction. So this first slide is simply information on how to use the performance support system. Very simple slide. If you'll notice, if I go into the animation, it does come in one at a time, using the appear animation for each one of the bullets. It does have an end exercise button on every slide. That button is on the master slide actually, but then the finish, and I'll show you that in just a second. But there's also what I've called a dummy button. You need to advance through these bullets of the explanation. You could do that by clicking the space bar or the right arrow or the mouse button, but you need a visual cue, which is what the next button is here, and that allows you to advance through the four instructions. Then when you click it again, you simply go to the next slide, which is the top portion of the form as an image. But you'll notice there's some information here. It prompts you roll your mouse over the text entry boxes, or you could end the exercise. So if we go to the date portion of the image, there is a hotspot, it's called, that I've created, which is simply a blank text box set with a hyperlink. So let's look at the hyperlink. I'm going to right mouse click and then go down to hyperlink, and let's see what's going to happen when I roll over that image. Most of the time we use mouse click. In this case, I've selected roll over, and it's going to roll over and hyperlink to slide 3. So there's a lot of, just as any other type of linking feature, in this case I've selected a particular slide, which is slide 3. Click OK. Well, what is slide 3? Slide 3 is the actual information queued for you. In other words, there's a text that says type the date here with a signaling arrow pointing to it, but then also some more information. Click anywhere to return to the form. Well, it's an interesting way how to do that. How do you click anywhere on the screen to return to the form? Because if you clicked the normally if you click the screen with the mouse or a space bar or a right arrow, it advances to the next screen. But in this case, I have a rectangle with the color white so that it's so it would actually be invisible with a navigation setting. So if I right mouse click that rectangle and look at the hyperlink, it's set to hyperlink to slide 2. So slide 2 is back on the main form. So the way that you actually will set that up, you would go to Insert, because this is really the trickiest part, a shape, rectangle, and then simply draw a rectangle around most of the display there, and then release it. So you'll notice it's the default color blue. Well, there again, right mouse click. We need to first of all set a hyperlink to the correct slide. In this case, I'm not going to do that, but what I do need to do is make it invisible, in other words, white. So I'm going to format the shape and set it to no fill. And then click OK. So now when you click that image, it's going to take you to what you've hyperlinked to. So I actually don't need that, so I'm going to back out of that. So we do have the feature of a rectangle with a hyperlink back to the main form, which is the second slide. Well, the next slide is set up the same way. So if we go back to the main form and we look at the name field, that field is hyperlinked to, in this case, slide 4. Slide 4 gives you the information. Type your name in here, signaling arrow, and then information to return to the form, or you could simply click the End Exercise button here. So you'll notice I can't click it from here. So let's go back to the master slide. That is where this End Exercise button is. So now let's select that button, right mouse click, and let's look at the hyperlink. The hyperlink is set to end the show. So in other words, there could have been a number of all types of hyperlinks we could have used. Select End Show, and it will then actually end the show whenever you click the End Exercise button. So let's cancel it. So let's go back to the normal view. So I have this PowerPoint file uploaded to our Blackboard site, and so that you can actually run it, take a look at the animation, and then be able to use these techniques to create an electronic performance support using contiguity and keeping contiguity in mind. So therefore on-screen text for information, and also some signaling arrows without audio narration. You'll notice here we're still using images and text for our multimedia component without narration, so that makes us legal. So there again, this is an example on how to use the simple navigation features of PowerPoint to create a performance support using on-screen text without narration.